Hello Year 8, Mrs Green here again. Welcome to your fourth session of Manchester Academy's virtual reading programme. This week's focus is dystopian fiction and I'll be reading extracts from The Hunger Games. Tune in every day for the next instalment. I feel a second sting on the cheek, a third on my neck, and their venom, the trackerjackers, almost immediately makes me woozy. I cling to the tree with one arm while I rip the barbed stingers out of my flesh. Fortunately, only these 3 trackerjackers had identified me before the nest went down. The rest of the insects have targeted their enemies on the ground. It's mayhem. The careers have woken to a full-scale trackerjacker attack. Peter and a few others have the sense to drop everything and to bolt. I hear cries of, to the lake, and I know they must be trying to evade the wasp by taking to the water. It must be close if they think they can outdistance the furious insects. Glimmer and another girl, the one from District 4, are not so lucky. They receive multiple stings before they're even out of my view. Glimmer appears to go completely mad, shrieking and trying to bat the wasps off with her bow, which is pointless. She calls to the others for help, but of course no one returns. The girl from District 4 staggers out of sight, although I wouldn't bet on her making it to the lake. I watch Glimmer fall, twist hysterically around on the ground for a few minutes, then go still. The nest is nothing but an empty shell. The wasps have vanished in pursuit of the others. I don't think they'll return, but I don't want to risk it. I scamper down the tree and hit the ground running in the opposite direction to the lake. The poison from the stingers makes me wobbly, but I find my way back to my own little pool and submerge myself in the water, just in case any wasps are still on my trail. After about 5 minutes, I drag myself onto the rocks. People have not exaggerated the effect of trackerjacker stings. Actually, the one on my knee is closer to an orange than a plum in size. A foul-smelling green liquid oozes from the places where I pulled out the stingers. The swelling, the pain, the ooze, watching Glimmer twitching to death on the ground. It's a lot to handle before the sun has even cleared the horizon. I don't want to think about what Glimmer must look like now, her body disfigured, her swollen fingers stiffening around the bow. The bow! Somewhere in my befuddled mind, one thought connects to another and I'm on my feet, teetering through the trees back to Glimmer. The bow, the arrows, I must get them. I haven't heard the cannons fire yet, so perhaps Glimmer is in a sort of coma, her heart still struggling against the wasp venom. But once it stops and the cannon signals her death, a hovercraft will move in and retrieve her body, taking the only bow and sheath of arrows I've seen out of the games for good. And I refuse to let them slip through my fingers again. I reach Glimmer just as the cannon fires. The trackerjackers have vanished. This girl, so breathtakingly beautiful in her golden dress the night of the interviews, is unrecognisable. Her features eradicated, her limbs 3 times their normal size. The stinger lumps have begun to explode, spewing putrid green liquid around her. I have to break several of what used to be her fingers with the stone to free the bow. The sheath of arrows is pinned under her back. I try to roll over her body by pulling on one arm, but the flesh disintegrates in my hands and I fall back on the ground. Is this real, or have the hallucinations begun? I squeeze my eyes tight and try to breathe through my mouth, ordering myself not to be sick. Breakfast must stay down. It might be days before I can hunt again. A second cannon fires, and I'm guessing the girl from District 4 has just died. I hear the birds fall silent, and then one give the warning call, which means a hovercraft is about to appear. Confused, I think it's for Glimmer, although this doesn't quite make sense because I'm still in the picture, still fighting for the arrows. I lurch back onto my knees, and the trees around me begin to spin in circles. In the middle of the sky, I spot the hovercraft. I throw myself over Glimmer's body as if to protect it, but then I see the girl from District 4 being lifted into the air and vanishing. Do this, I command myself. Clenching my jaw, I dig my hands under Glimmer's body, get a hold on what must be her ribcage and force her onto her stomach. I can't help it. I'm hyperventilating now. The whole thing is so nightmarish and I'm losing my grasp on what's real. I tug on the silver sheath of arrows, but it's caught on something. Her shoulder blade, something, and finally yank it free. I've just encircled the sheath with my arms when I hear the footsteps, several pairs, coming through the underbrush, and I realise the careers have come back. They've come back to kill me, or get their weapons, or both, but it's too late to run. I pull a slimy arrow from the sheath and try to position it on the bowstring, but instead of 1 string I see 3, and the stench from the stings is so repulsive that I can't do it. I'm helpless as the first hunter crashes through the trees, spear lifted, poised to throw. The shock on Peter's face makes no sense to me. I wait for the blow. Instead, his arm drops to his side. "What are you still doing here?" he hisses at me. I stare uncomprehendingly as a trickle of water drips off a sting under his ear. His whole body starts sparkling as if he's been dipped in dew. "Are you mad?" He's prodding me with the shaft of the spear now. "Get up, get up!" I rise, but he's still pushing me. What's going on? He shoves me away from him hard. "Run!" he screams. "Run!" Behind him, Cato slashes his way through the brush. He's sparkling wet too, and badly stung under one eye. I catch the gleam of sunlight on his sword and do as Peter says. Holding tightly to my bow and arrows, banging into trees that appear out of nowhere, tripping and falling as I try to keep my balance. Back past my pool and into unfamiliar woods. The world begins to bend in alarming ways. A butterfly balloons to the size of a house and then shatters into a million stars. Trees transform to blood and splash down over my boots. Ants begin to crawl out of the blisters on my hands and I can't shake them free. They're climbing up my arms, my neck. Someone's screaming, a long, high-pitched scream that never breaks for breath. I have a vague idea it might be me. I trip and fall into a small pit lined with tiny orange bubbles that hum like the tracker-jacker nest. Tucking my knees up to my chin, I wait for death. Sick and disoriented, I'm able to form only one thought. Peter Malark just saved my life. Then the ants bore into my eyes and I black out. Okay, Year 8, come back tomorrow for your final instalment.